Hello, I'm Jeremy Searle, and today we're in Wall Street Canyon on Mount Mansfield, and I just want to propose a couple of very simple ideas. A lot of people have been saying how the recent killer at the Montreal College was using a legally registered semi-automatic weapon. I know I'm not the only person, but are there so few people who pose the question, why do we have politicians in Ottawa actually wasting their time and our time talking about ridiculous issues like keeping or not keeping a long gun registry? Obviously, people who own guns have to have them registered. But why are we wasting time on this sort of discussion when the real debate is, why is any Canadian citizen allowed under any circumstances whatsoever, private individual, to own a semi-automatic weapon? Or for that matter, a handgun. If you want to be a member of a shooting club, you don't have to own a gun. There's nothing to prevent there being clubs, for instance, where the guns are there and you can go rent. Hunting is another subject, which I'm going to leave for another day. But why allow any private citizen to own, under any circumstances, a semi-automatic weapon or a handgun? You don't want a semi-automatic weapon for hunting. Single-shot rifle is correct for that. The only use for these two weapons is to commit acts of violence against other human beings. And guess what? We have a police force set up to protect us from the criminals who, yes, will get the guns. I would like to suggest that anybody viewing who has a gun in their home, anybody in whose home can be found a handgun or a semi-automatic weapon, is a potential terrorist in our midst. Because you don't have to have political goals or religious fanaticism to be a terrorist. You merely have to be willing to kill indiscriminately. So I think it's incredibly simple. All private ownership of handguns and semi-automatic weapons needs to be banned. People say that if you ban weapons, criminals will still be able to get them. Yes, but criminals generally are out for a profit. They don't commit generally indiscriminate acts of violence. And the average person cannot, in fact, buy a gun from a criminal. If you want to buy, you watching, decent citizen, want to buy a gun, how many criminals who deal with guns do you know? Your local criminal at your local sleazy bar is not going to sell to you, Mr. or Mrs. law-abiding citizen. They're going to assume you're an undercover police officer. The only person who will be willing to deal with you for selling you a gun at the local bar or elsewhere is going to be the local undercover police officer. And this broadcast happens to be being made in the United States. And guess what? When I go back to Canada over the border today, I'm going to be shocked as always that there is not so much as a sign at the border saying carrying of guns into Canada prohibited. We should have these at every border post. We should have the same approach as our American neighbors do for drugs in cars, gun in car, legally registered or not, impound the gun, impound the car. I think we'd see a big change in attitude. Thank you for participating today, and good day to you.